Hey, welcome back to the shop. This week is another how-to video on replacing the clutch pack on a Harley 5-speed. If you'd like to see the whole entire video, kind of a breakdown, a little bit longer for you, then I'll put the link to that video in the description box. So, welcome back to Butler Customs Motorcycle Shop. So here's our clutch kit that we've got. I went with the Belt Drives LTD. American made, comes with really good instructions, but the primary reason that I got this over a Barnett or anything like that is because it comes with this new plate here. This new tension plate is really a good upgrade to do. So if you're going to upgrade your clutch, especially if you've done a big bore kit or something like that, a bigger cam, and you find that your stock clutch just isn't clutching anymore, don't forget this spring plate. Upgrade this. I believe this is like a 10% stronger plate. So when we pull the old plate off, we'll compare the height of these teeth as compared to the other one. We've got new metals and new pads. So what I like to do, keep them in the bag, but open your bag up and pour your oil in here. So these are supposed to pre-soak anywhere from, it says 10 to 15 minutes. So do this first, that way while you're taking things apart. So this is the 98, it does the big twin and the twin cam. It does come with the extra plate and it came with that. You're going to see a judder spring and a set spring that's for the stock. You're not going to use these, do not reuse these. So we're going to pull everything out of the clutch basket and not use any of those parts again. And go with this because it's got the extra plate in there and you do not need the judder spring and the seats, spring seat anymore. 40T is what is on this primary. You might have a 5/8 head on it. Now while this is draining, I will pull off this inspection cover here for the primary chain, and that'll help the oil kind of flow out a little bit better. There we go. You will have short bolts and long bolts. And what you're going to find is the top and the back right are long bolts. The bottom and the front left are short bolts. Up in here, you'll feel the longness for this long bolt, and over here too. And back here, they are short. That is short. Just undo your shifter linkage. 4 bolts holding this whole thing on, and then a bolt for your crash bar. And then we can take our cover here off. All right, I got the drain plug back in. I got it wrapped and cleaned off. And what I like to do is just kind of break them free. I like to start down here at the bottom. 3/16. All right, now that I've got everything broken free, I can come in with my gun and just zip them out. So the 5 on top starting here, count 5. That's your longer ones. We can take this off. This is your lock nut here. We'll break this loose. Then we should be able to twist this up into here. That'll let all the slack off the clutch. I like to run them all the way in. Then when I do, I'll pull the clutch in 2 to 3 times just to make sure that that rod pushed back. All right, this lock nut's a 9/16. This adjusting nut or sleeve is a 1/2 inch, so I'll just break this loose. There we go. Now usually you can turn this with your hand like I'm doing. You don't have to hold this up here. And I'm going to bring this all the way in together. So make sure that's down all the way. Now I have nothing on my clutch. Now we're ready to take that lock nut off. We can go ahead and break this lock nut. It's an 11/16. It's a 7/32 on this Allen here. There we go. We can usually just break that off, and then we can turn this whole thing out. 10mm. And these you want to take out just a little at a time, and you want to cross pattern them a little at a time. And now you see it's got a plate. It has teeth here that catch this here. Sets in like that, and it kind of keeps it from spinning and moving. And now we can go ahead and start pulling this off. We can leave this in here. There was no need to take that off. And if you're lucky, if you're lucky, wow, everything comes off together. I'm just using a little magnet here. You can also use a pick to get them off, and I might have to. There we go. You've got a concave metal spring here. Then you've got a flat one back there. There we go. These are the ones we will not be using. We won't be putting back in. This is the OEM one, the stock one. Looks like it's just a little over a centimeter. This is the new one. Oh wow, and it's a whole lot more. It's about 1 1/4 centimeter. So we're going to start with a friction plate, and as you can tell, these friction plates have a whole lot more friction in than these old ones. So you'll start with a friction plate and you'll end with a friction plate. So we'll go friction plate, steel plate, and we'll just keep doing that pattern. All right, and that should set on there just flush like that. Goes like this. Set that on like that. Make sure your little tab thing is out. Then your plate will set right up in there. We'll spin this to where our holes are exposed. That'll stay there. We'll get our little cover. We'll set it in the grooves, and then we can turn this to line up with our holes. Now we've got our 6 bolts that go back in. They are torqued to anywhere from, I think, 90 to 110 inch-pounds. But I'm going to go with 100 to split the difference. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue on these, although it doesn't say to. So I'll get these started. That'll help kind of hold everything in. Now you'll want to tighten in a crisscross pattern, a little at a time, because what it's going to do is press this spring in. So I will start just with a regular ratchet. And make sure your spring is seated real well all the way around the seat. Just going to bottom this out here and go up here. Now you might have, if you're working on an old Evo, you might have a clutch basket that doesn't have these bolts. Instead, it's got like a clip that clips down to hold this spring in. It won't have this. If you run into that style, you can do it other ways, but I just buy the tool. It's cheap on eBay or Amazon or wherever. And it's actually a hub that kind of sets on there and then screws into this. And as you tighten it, it'll compress this spring, and then you can put your little snap things in there that keeps the spring in place. It's best to do this by hand and not by any kind of power tools. And you'll feel it when it bottoms out. Now we'll go with our inch torque to 100. Now you may have to hold the clutch hub. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'll go around again because just to double check. All right, and we're good. Your clutch is officially installed. That's all there is to it. Very simple. So you'll want to back this nut all the way out. You'll want to put this in. Then you do this by feel. So remember, there's a rod inside there that as you push the clutch in, it pulls the rod this way, pushes this out. So we'll want to go clockwise until we lightly touch that rod. There. So now I felt it seat up against that rod. Don't go any further. You just want it to touch. Then you want to back out anywhere from a half turn to a full turn. So I like to kind of split the difference and do a 3/4 turn. So that's a half there. I'll go 1/4 there. Then I will tighten this down, finger tight. Now that's where this tool right here comes in really handy, is I'll put some good oomph on that. and that clutch should be set. Now I want to bring my adjustment out, and I want to watch my clutch lever, as it should be pulling the lever back up, and it is. Now once my clutch lever gets up to where you can see that it's fully seated and not moving anymore, I'll put pressure on the clutch lever and it'll still be a little bit loose. You pull on the clutch cable and that'll show you how much distance you still have to go. There we go. So I'll lock it down here with this lock nut. Then the boot, we might have to grease up to get the boot back on where everything's so rusted up, especially over that nut. Now if you'll keep an eye on this clutch pack, when I push the clutch in, you can watch it separate. It has good separation. Looks like it's moving properly. And we're ready to go ahead and go back on, right on the dowels and right in the hole. Lock tight them. What we're going to do is just run these in just to seat them, and then we'll go around with our torque spec, which is 100 inch-pounds on these as well. Now remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for our long ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now I'll go around in a circle again just to verify. We'll go ahead and throw our oil in there. All right, we'll do 100 on this. Well, thank you so much for hanging out in the shop with me this week. And now next week, we're going to be plowing new ground, okay? So tell your mama now I said hi.